last speaker is Claire Fuller. Claire is the Revitalising Private Conservation in SA, RPCSA, not to be confused with the other one, Program Manager, hosted by the Nature Foundation. She has spent her career in the environment sector, in both state government and in the NGO sector. Please welcome Claire.
Hello everyone. You've probably heard my name bandied around, and I'm not the only person involved in the Revitalising Private Conservation program. It's actually quite a team effort. And this is the team, and so some of you would have come across some members of the team, but the Revitalising program really was about partners coming together to re-energise and find funding for landholders that have got a heritage agreement, and to really support them through their heritage agreements and on-ground activities. And so some people have sort of said to us, well, why revitalising? Some of us have had a heritage agreement for 40 years, but it was revitalising to breathe energy and life back into the programs and get this sort of networking happening, to get landholders together, to share knowledge, to build capacity, to build partnerships, and also to get more land under heritage agreements. So it was revitalising because there was $3 million committed by the state government, and together the 5 partners that you see up across the screen there, together with the department and Sarah and her team, have been working together over the past 2 years. And it was a pilot program. So the pilot program, getting NGOs out there. NGOs do really well when it comes to the outreach side of things and the externally facing engagement. And so we've really pushed that, and we've had a really big focus on that as being our strength. But yeah, the partners involved are Nature Foundation as the lead, and myself as the program manager, and Lucy is in the room here tonight. She's up on the screen there. She's just joined the team recently because Alyssa, who was managing all of our grants and working for the Con Council, has just moved on and found another job. Trees for Life, a strong supporter, and Beck O'Leary, who's up on the screen there. Some of you might have had a site visit from Beck. She's holidaying in the US at the moment and flew out yesterday. Beck Duffield, so 2 Becks, Alicia and Alyssa and Claire, so that's the ABC team. Beck Duffield, who works for the Nature Conservation Society, she's doing all of our monitoring and evaluation work, which is so valuable, all the surveys, and helping to put together things like the impact report, which is printed out and on the tables there. And then Alicia, who's put together this event and is doing such a fantastic job with IT. There's lots of different partners, and as I said, nothing really happens in isolation. You've got to work with lots of other people. So Alka, Pew Charitable Trust were instrumental in assisting the NGOs to come together to support the advocacy to the state government for additional funding in this area. And there's others listed up there. It is important to also point out, I'll go back a step, Livestock SA, they might be, the outlier. Environmental NGOs and then Livestock SA. But, it's really, really important. A lot of farmers have a lot of land. Obviously, farmers have land, but a lot of them are looking after remnant vegetation. So they're an obvious partner for us and a critical one of that. And we do have the CEO of Livestock SA in the room somewhere. So, go to the next slide. Hopefully lots of rich images here for you, but supportive approach. So we've been doing a lot of reaching out and responding to landholders' needs. And, there's more than 1,600 heritage agreements across South Australia which protect more than 1.8 million hectares, which is an impressive stat. So yeah, probably that was a bit unfair. I got to take the limelight, Sarah, and you had to deliver all the nasty news. But look, I think our team approach has really been about strong, supportive focus on the landholders and client orientated, which is the landholders. And we have seen some amazing outcomes in collaboration. Landholders in large numbers working together to achieve landscape scale conservation work. So as part of the Revitalising program, we had 3 grant rounds. 2 of those grant rounds were for small individual landholder works and programs, and then we had a Linking Landscapes grant round that saw just shy of $1 million go to 9 projects across the state, and some of those, Heidi, who we've just heard from on Kangaroo Island, they did a feral pig control program in collaboration with PIRSA on KI. We have 27 landholders working in the foothills of Adelaide as well, putting in some amazing effort and really pulling together. Some of the biodiversity outcomes, so $2 million in grant funding, which is not worth sneezing at, 4.7 million in kind contribution, which is huge, and we probably don't talk up enough about, yes, state government support in $2 million, but we've been able to get back in kind $4.7 million, which is amazing. That's all the in kind that landholders have put against every single dollar matched basically for the grant that they were given. The partners themselves have put in considerable in kind, and so 4.7 million is the figure. Oversubscribed applications for grants were oversubscribed by 200%, so we couldn't meet demand. And the program moving forward will have further grant opportunities. More than just grants though, and during the trial or the pilot of Revitalising, we've really noticed that grants are a mechanism to engage and break down some barriers, but it's not the only thing that landholders are looking for. So technical and practical advice, on-site visits, really, really important. Connection with other heritage agreement landholders, this, really, really important. Building knowledge and skills, sharing resources, understanding, we've just heard from Brad how much he loves gorse. He's got some stuff he wants to share. I can listen to him, he can talk about it all night. So why don't we tap into that and understand what other people have done and their learnings from that, and, shortcuts and mistakes maybe, and some time and wasted resources and money potentially. And also developing those social platforms for information sharing. So we've been developing some social media platforms. Alicia's proficient in that, short videos, and they have really gained momentum over the 2 years of the pilot program. Working with landholders, in the 2 years that we've been running, we've been able to do 48 site visits. We've done a couple of surveys, and we've also been interviewing people as well to make sure and cross-check some of the information we've heard in those surveys, events, workshops, resources, and connecting landholders to opportunities and information that's out there. So the landscape boards, for example, are, ex-NRM, they're out there actively promoting grassroots grants. And so if we didn't have a grant round or a landholder missed out on a grant, we would connect them back into their landscape board and to other services that might be available to them. So certainly connecting up landholders has been really, really important. We have also ensured and really tried to make a point of getting outside of Adelaide and the CBD, and I know Mount Barker's not that far from Adelaide, but the team, especially Alicia and Rebecca as the outreach officers, have really pushed to go over to the EP and down to the Limestone Coast and over to Kangaroo Island and everywhere in between. So making sure that we have a regional presence was really, really important to us. Look at these guys, they're on KI, 30 years of co-owning a heritage agreement site, and we got an invite along to assist in the celebration and to capture their story, so they're pretty pumped. Here's a few more landholders. So yeah, these signs, that there's some here, and if you haven't got a sign, please come and see us. We've still got plenty on the table and in our cars. But the words proud, legacy and caring are words that landholders use back to us when we surveyed them. So, you know, what's the motivation for having a heritage agreement? It's those sorts of things, legacy being the biggest answer that we received back in the surveys. So, you know, they've got their signs, they're putting them on their gates, and we're trying to raise awareness of what it is that they're doing. Some landowners don't want signs and don't want to draw attention to themselves or their property. We get that, but these signs are for putting on front gates to really showcase what it is that they're doing in their spare time. So Tony Smith from Wilpena Pound is top left. Marilyn and partner in the middle. Mia and Fraser on Kangaroo Island, on the far right, and Alyssa and Terry Byrne in the bottom left. Here's a few more. Pam Bennett, this is the lady that's just got this amazing smile on her face, pretty stoked. And Neil Deister from McHugh Creek on the right, and Kathy, Marie and Peter, bottom left, were all pretty happy with their sign and their site visit from the outreach officers. So we have been building throughout the Revitalising pilot program, we've been building a community, we've been promoting in partner newsletters, print media, Facebook, and also applying for awards. So the Landcare Conference recently, we got a highly recommended partnership award from them. So certainly putting us out there and trying to gain attention and momentum. Setting up for the long term, so Sarah touched on this before. As part of the program, there's been 97 new heritage agreement applications, which we think is a pretty outstanding stat. Not all of those 97 will go through and be approved for a heritage agreement, but there's interest, and we certainly have seen a lot of new people express interest to have a heritage agreement. So more land protected and actively managed, supporting activities focusing on climate change and resilience, and the NGO sector and state government together have been able to engage and motivate landholders to get some great on-ground outcomes. And that's it from me. I think that's the end. That's not going to click. Thank you.